Okay, so ʻtrɛsɛ is the first Filipino anime on Netflix and the second overall Filipino anime ever made. So let's answer the hard questions first. Did it do well? And is it good? To answer that, let's break it down through pros and cons. After that, I'll give you my final thoughts and my verdict. Again, like I said in my other videos, I've mentioned that I'm Filipino, but I promise to give an unbiased review of the series. Okay, so let's go with the positives first, then the negatives. So for the first good point, the animation was good. For being the second Filipino anime of its kind, it's not the greatest animation in the world. I mean, you can't really compare it to something like Attack on Titan or Jujutsu Kaisen. But for base entertainment's first foray into animation, I would say that it's a great first outing. The next best thing about this series is the likable characters. Some people may watch it for the lore and the curiosity of seeing another mythos or pantheon at play, but the characters do grow on you. And that's one of the best indicators of a good show or series, because way down the line, it's the characters that you'll be watching out for. So it's a good start. Okay, so for international geeks and viewers, a lot of the references may go over your heads or may downright confuse you. But for someone who grew up here, we're just gonna say that it's so Filipino. And again, for us, it's a good thing. They could have polished it up and packaged it in a way where international fans wouldn't even have to notice these things. But this series is actually prioritizing the Filipino market. And the ratings are strong. So if it goes on, a season 2 isn't really out of the question, which is also a good thing. Another good point, and something directly related to the point before, is that this anime actually opens up the door to Filipino mythos for international fans and people with Filipino heritage. And it's a great big bag of stories. The Philippines is actually a great melting pot of Asian culture. And from a lot of the Pacific Islands and East Asia, we picked up and amalgamated myths and legends into something that's completely ours. And it's sad that many of the locals have a lot to learn about it, myself included. So that's about it for the pros, and if you like what you're hearing, then please give this video a like as well. Okay, so now for the negatives. The first one is the voice acting. Okay, so the voice acting wasn't bad, but it's not as good as it should be. I'm talking about both English and Filipino. We had this problem for Yasuke where you don't really know how to make the mouths move due to not knowing what language it'll trend with. Also, for some of the voice actors, they weren't really that experienced, unless you count Dante Basco, who was just there for one episode and then he... For the VAs of both Filipino and English, if they make it to season 2, I'm confident that they'll get their bearings faster, so let's hope for that season 2. Okay, on to the next con, the pacing. Here's the thing with the pacing. There are only 6 episodes. I'm sure there were a lot of things for the writers to unpack in such a short time, especially if they don't know if they'll be getting that season 2. That said, it may have only had 6 episodes because the comic series itself only has 6 volumes as of recording. Still, for any media, writing a shorter story with a lot of elements in it is a tall order. It's way better than how Yasuke was made, story and pacing wise, but still, I'm imagining what these two anime could have become with 2 or 3 more episodes. Okay, now this is directly related to the point just before this. Sometimes in the series, there's this cliche where the main villain just goes on a monologue. He explains everything, and again, this could be because the limited time they had with 6 episodes in the series was not enough. But honestly, this was during the last episode, so the rest of the series is just fine. Now, this is kind of related to a pro I mentioned earlier, where the series itself is very Filipino. There may be a lot of international fans that will not get or understand some of the reference, but I made a video of that and it may help you. It's on the card at the upper right corner of this video if you want to understand more of what's happening. This was, again, intentional as they really wanted to target Filipinos, but the interest and general confusion it generates could be a gateway for international fans to appreciate what it's really like here more. So it's kind of a con that's a pro. Okay, now for my final thoughts. The series as a whole is a fun ride. There are some pacing problems you'll encounter in the last episode, but let's chalk that up to writers trying to make the most of the 6 episodes as much as they can. Again, while this may be the first Filipino anime on Netflix, we don't know if there's going to be a second one, or if there will even be a season 2 of *Trɛsɛ. I'm sure the writers wanted to pack in as much as possible. The animation is good, again not great, the voice acting could use some work, but those two aren't really deal breakers by a long shot. It's a good series, fun, and action-packed, and there's really nothing to take you out of the enjoyment or suspension of disbelief. For my final verdict, I give it an A-. I really hope that they make a season 2 for this though, because if you look at the growth of Castlevania, it didn't really start out that strong with season 1. So I hope they give *Trɛsɛ a chance to reach season 4 as well, where it can really, get lit. So if you liked my review, please like the video, and if you like to see more of my channel, please click on that channel thing and check out my videos, because I really need the help. So please check out my videos, please.